Today's part two of this two-part series. Yesterday it was the Air Max 90 that we were looking at, and the recycled elements on that shoe. There were two, the outsole in that grind rubber, and then also three hits on the top of the shoe in this recycled, upcycled materials that they were talking about. That's yesterday's Air Max 90, and today we've got these two shoes. Hopefully they're going back and forward on the green screen behind me here, and you can see there's a black BLAZER and there's a white BLAZER, and it feels like a pretty simple video where we're just going to go through the recycling elements on it, but it's not that simple, and I was kind of surprised at this, and I'm going to try and explain this as best I can, but I'll surely make a mess of it, but who cares, I'll still do my best. Now what I'm talking about is you've got a black and a white shoe. Two different shoes, the BLAZERs in black and the BLAZERs in white. Now there are elements on those shoes that are identical. Even though they're black and white shoes, they're different colours, there are some elements that are exactly the same on both shoes. Then there are some elements that are the polar opposite, 100% the complete opposite of what's going on the other shoes. But here's the important tiny little detail. There are actually two elements on the black shoes that you don't see at all on the white shoes. So what is identical between these two shoes? What is the complete opposite for these two shoes? And then what are those two special hits that you see on this black variant of the upcoming release of the Nike BLAZER Mid Recycled? This is the Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel des.毎日 episode of them,毎日 meet you design every single day from Tokyo, Japan. I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news and sneaker reviews, and today for you it's January the 2nd. That's when this video is due to drop, but I'm actually shooting it on December the 31st, so it's still 2020 for me shooting this video, but it's already 2021 for you watching this video about the January the 7th, goodness gracious, about the January 7th release of two BLAZERs, one in black and one in white, and it's all to do with this Move Zero campaign at Nike, which is all about trying to ramp up the amount of recycled materials they can use in shoes. And there are many ways they can do that. There's fly knit that's done in a particular way that you get a recycled element on it. There's the rubbers that they bring in, it's called grind rubbers. There's recycled canvases where they actually just take a material that was going to trash, cut the upper out and stick that on a shoe without doing anything to the materials. And then there's upcycled, recycled materials, which is the main point of this shoe. The upcycling, they're calling it, where they take fabrics that were destined for the trash and then they recycle it and repurpose it. So they're not just taking something, cutting it out and sticking it on the shoe. There's an extra step in there where they churn it up and grind it up and then come out with this whole new material, and that's the main focus of the recycling on these shoes. But like I said at the top of this video, the important point that I want to get across today is the two particular elements of the shoes that are totally unique on the black shoes. It's not about opposite or same, which we'll get into at the rest of this video. It's that particular unique elements on the shoe. And what we'll do is we'll look at that first, and then we'll get into the details of recycling on the shoe. So first things first, let's go up and have a look at the tongues. Hopefully, I don't know which one will be up. You know what? Hopefully it's the white pair that's up there, because that's the lesser interesting of the two, because it's standard. And what you'll be able to see is that the tongue is made of that upcycled material to give these guys that recycled feel. And we'll come to that later when we get to the swooshes, because that's where we see it one more time. But the tongue's in that sort of upcycled, recycled material, and you can see on these white ones here that at the top of the tongues you've got the standard Nike branding in there in white. But then if we flip it out to the black ones, you'll see on the branding up there, it's electric green. Now it's a bit strange. It gets even stranger, to be honest, because there's two reasons why it's strange. One, that is the reason that isn't really a reason. It's just interesting that they didn't put electric green on the white ones, but they did put it on the black ones. I don't know why they made that decision, especially, and this is where it gets a little strange, if you pan back from the tongues and have a look at the insoles, you can see that on both pairs the insoles are electric green. So why not have electric green branding at the the top of the tongues as well. But this is where it gets even more odd, is that if you go down to the mudguard on the lateral side of the black pair, you can see that they've chosen to use the stitching in electric green on there as well, but not on the white pair. Again, hopefully you're seeing this now. I'll be jumping around on the green screen like mad behind me here, but it's worth it to get my point across, that on the black pair's mudguard, which is grey, and it's grey on both pairs of shoes, so that's one of those places where it's the same, even though the black shoe is black and the white shoe is white, the mudguard on the side is grey and the same material on both, but the stitching on the black pair is in the electric green, and on the white pair it's not. And then that's repeated on the medial side. So we go around to the medial side in the black pair, and you'll see that the stitching that runs in 2 or 3 different places again is in that electric green, which really pops off the black upper. You know, the black upper gives that definition and gives that contrast so that you can see the electric green stitching. But on the white pair, maybe it's because it's white and electric green stitching wouldn't pop enough, they haven't gone with that stitching colour, they've gone with standard colours there. I may be wrong in that. If I've totally got that wrong and I'm looking at the wrong sources, and the pictures I'm showing you here either are out of date and it is electric green, or I've just got bad eyesight and what I've shown you and I've been babbling on about this not being electric green, but you're looking at it and saying, but the stitching on the white pair is electric green. Sorry if I've got it wrong, but that's what I'm looking at. That's what I see when I look at these shoes, is that there are 2 places on the black pair up at the top of the tongues with the branding, and then the stitching on the mudguard and on the medial side on the black pair in electric green, and then the top of the tongues on the white pair standard branding up their standard colour, and then the stitching that holds the thing together in the standard colour as well. So that's the big kind of difference between the 2 shoes, but we've already hinted at some of the places which are the same, and that's that those grey mudguards is a good place to start with that, because that's the same on the lateral side of both the black pair and the white pair. And then if we travel forward from that and have a look at the tongues, and not the tongues, the toes, you'll see that it's a grey wraparound on the front of the toes. And then interestingly is at the back, if we go at the back of these guys, and this sort of mimics something that we were talked about with the Air Max 90s yesterday, is if you look at the heel on these guys, you can see that that big square panel at the top, which usually houses some form of branding, whether it's Nike or whether it's like 77 or whether it's what's that Italian shop that did a collaboration for these guys? Can't remember what it's called. Like, it's not House of Hoops, I don't think, but there's an Italian shop that did a really cool version of these guys. In fact, I think they had, was it upside down swooshes? Because it was a big thing, because Travis Scott was doing his back to front swooshes, and then they had upside down swooshes or something like that. But so and sometimes as well, I think it says class of on there, not 77. But anyway, I'm babbling a little bit, because the point is, and you've probably got this already by looking at the picture behind me, is on both shoes with that grey panel at the top of the heel, there's no branding at all, and that's exactly the same as yesterday's Air Max 90s, that on the back, on that recycled material that they use on the back of the Air Max 90s, there wasn't any branding. And then on today's grey panel, and I don't think it's anything to do with recycling, I think it's just a grey panel of material, they have no branding at the top as well. Now, but then dropping down from that, we get to the main feature of this shoe as far as I'm concerned, and this is a detail that was similar to the Air Max 90s yesterday, is that the swooshes on the lateral and the medial side don't match, and it's the same for the black and the same for the white shoes. They have the same kind of lateral side swooshes, which are made in that upcycled, recycled material, and then on the medial side, the black pair has a black swoosh which is lost in the black upper, and the white pair has a white swoosh which is lost in the white upper. And all of that's easiest seen on the back, on the heel, where you get to see, say, the white swoosh coming around from the medial side, or you don't because it's lost in the upper, and then that recycled material swoosh coming around from the lateral side. And then if you switch to the black pair, hopefully you'll see again that what I'm talking about is the medial side standard, same color as the upper swoosh, and then lateral side, that recycled material swoosh. And that's not all. There's more to that swoosh as well, and hopefully I'll find the right angle to show you this. It's debossed under the leather of the upper, which is unique. Usually swooshes are on top of the leather, they're sewn onto the top of it, but actually it's like cut out, the swoosh is cut out of the leather of the upper, and then below that you've got that recycled material. Hopefully, like I said, that is very obvious on the pictures that we're showing here, to give you that idea, that debossed idea, that the swooshes actually lie lower or under or deeper in the material of the upper than the upper itself, which is a great feature, but one that I think is going to be lost on a lot of people, because I don't think many people will look as close to this, especially on the black ones, because the black ones, it's hard to see that contrast between the darkness of the recycled materials and the black upper, but on the white ones you can see that contrast a bit more, and then hopefully see that debossed effect that I'm trying to explain. So hopefully it's clear on here. And then the last thing to do is to take a look at the outsoles now. The outsoles on these guys, I'm sure, are that grind rubber moved to zero, you know, using recycled rubbers from, you know, cut-offs from other shoes and stuff like that. But it's just not as pronounced as you normally get. Now, I probably, hopefully I'll be able to go back to yesterday's Air Max 90 outsoles and you see what a busy recycled outsole that was. And then we come to today's shoes, and to be honest, it doesn't really look recycled at all. But then you zoom in on it and you kind of see, oh, okay, there's a couple of speckles in there, so maybe it's more recycled than we thought it was. But it's a very, I don't know, it's a recycled light when it comes to the outsoles on both pairs of these guys, even though they're very, very similar in their colouring and their design. It just doesn't seem to have that much recycle going on in there. But that's just me, that's just my perspective on this. And then coming back out to have a look at both shoes again, you know, hopefully flipping back and forward between the two here. And hopefully what I've given you guys is all the details you needed to know on this, because like I said, you know, there's that, there's the opposite bits. For example, it's a black upper and it's a white upper, total opposites. Then there's the same bits, like the lateral side swooshes are identical on both, and then there's two unique hits, the electric green at the top of the tongues on the black, and then the electric green stitching on the mudguard on the lateral side, and then the medial side stitching, which is kind of interesting and unusual to see that there. So hopefully I've given you guys some details and some information that's new to you, and if you're thinking about buying these guys, and this video's giving you some good information, good insight into what to look for these shoes, and whether or not that, you know, fits your eye. Maybe you're trying to work out which of the two pairs you want to go for, and today's video's helped you make that decision, then I'd be very happy to hear that. So but for now, it's time for me to sign off. Got some videos to go edit and churning out this content, keeping this daily content going. This, technically speaking, is it is the third year of the channel, or is it the fourth year? Technically speaking, it's the fourth year, because it started in October 2018, and then all of 2019, all of 2020, and now we're moving into 2021. So I suppose technically it's the fourth year of the channel, but over 750 days of consecutive content. And because of that, it means I get to say to you at the end of every single video that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.